both spoke about when they commissioned these three combatants.
आज भारत पूरे विश्व और खासकर ग्लोबल साउथ में एक भरोसेमंद और जिम्मेदार साथी के रूप में पहचाना जा रहा है। भारत विस्तारवाद नहीं, भारत विकासवाद की भावना से काम करता है। भारत ने हमेशा ओपन, सिक्योर, इंक्लूसिव और प्रॉस्परस इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन का समर्थन किया है।
आईएनएस सूरत, आईएनएस नीलगिरी और आईएनएस वार्शिप यानी एक डिस्ट्रॉयर, एक फ्रिगेट और एक सबमरीन की एक साथ हो रही हिस्टोरिक कमीशनिंग सिर्फ इंडियन नेवी की ही नहीं बल्कि आपके नेतृत्व में इंडियन ओशन रीजन में भारत की बढ़ती ताकत का भी यह प्रमाण है। साथियों, वैसे तो इंडियन ओशन रीजन में हमेशा से जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक और इकोनॉमिक दृष्टि से यह रीजन महत्वपूर्ण रहा है, परंतु आज के तेजी से बदलते हुए परिवेश में यह और भी महत्वपूर्ण हो गया है। आज हम यह कह सकते हैं कि जो महत्व पूर्व में अटलांटिक ओशन का हुआ करता था, वो महत्व आज शिफ्ट होकर इंडियन ओशन की ओर आ गया है।
आज कमीशन किया जा रहा सूरत प्रोजेक्ट 15A और 15B डिस्ट्रॉयर्स की गौरवशाली परंपरा को अग्रसर करता है। नीलगिरी प्रोजेक्ट 17A के 7 फ्रिगेट्स का पहला जहाज है और वार्शिप प्रोजेक्ट 75 की आखिरी सबमरीन है। ये तीनों प्लेटफॉर्म्स भारतीय नौसेना की क्षमता को सशक्त एवं प्रभावशाली बनाएंगे। इससे हमारे सामुद्रिक हितों की सुरक्षा और भी मजबूत होगी। मुझे यह बताते हुए बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि नौसेना ने अपना हाई टेम्पो ऑफ ऑपरेशंस बरकरार रखा है। इससे हिंद महासागर क्षेत्र में हमारे नेशनल मैरीटाइम इंटरेस्ट को सेफगार्ड करने में और प्रधानमंत्री जी के सागर सिक्योरिटी एंड ग्रोथ फॉर ऑल इन द रीजन विजन को सक्षम करने में हम सफल हुए हैं।
Now, you heard about why this is strategic, why it's important and why it's a message to both Pakistan and China. But what are the salient features of all of these three commandants that were commissioned today? My colleague Yasha was in Mumbai, was at the Naval Dockyard. She got us a sneak peek of all of these three combatants. Also spoke to commanding officers of the Indian Navy who highlighted exactly what aim and what purpose these three commandants are going to serve.
We're on board INS Nilgiri. The ship was commissioned this morning by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, when you look at how this ship has been made, it's the first in its class. It's a frigate class ship. Frigates are the ships which are more compact, they are stealth, and they are in the second line of defense behind destroyers because they're supposed to provide cover to the destroyers. Destroyers are the ship which attack enemies directly. Frigate class are the ship which provide support to them. So if you see, this is the first in its class. It's completely a new design. This was made at Mazgaon Shipbuilding Limited, and this very class of ship that you see is trying to depict similarity to destroyer class, and because destroyers are the biggest range of ship. In fact, the whole surface is called the falcon of the ship, which means forecastle of the ship, which means the upper deck of the ship. And in fact, considering that there are turbulence on the sea, there have been lines that have been created wherein the sailors can be hooked to it so that the turbulence can be minimized. Apart from that, when you speak of the kind of missiles that are there in this ship, right behind me is the surface-to-surface missile BrahMos. Apart from that, Barak 8. There are 8 of these that have been put in Nilgiri. That is how frigate class operates. Destroyers have 16 missile each, that is surface-to-surface and surface-to-air. Comes frigates, they have 8 each. That's the kind of similarity that has been portrayed here at INS Nilgiri as well. And behind me are also rocket launchers. So here, when you speak of this, a frigate class usually has the deck, but this very ship will have a more stealth mode because all of the missiles, they've been put below on a deck, just below this, one level down, which means when they go on sea, the sensors of enemy ships will not be able to detect this. So that's where this ship would get that kind of an edge over other frigate class. This is the upper deck, that's a forecastle of the ship. Behind this would also be a helicopter launch pad, wherein there can be aircrafts which could land on this very ship.
Defence expert Commodore G.J. Singh joining us on this broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on Sena News 18. How do you look at this? How is this going to not just expand India's naval arsenal, but also prove to be an edge specifically against two threats, that is Pakistan and China, vis-a-vis the Indian Ocean region is concerned?
At the very height, I must say that this is a very major induction of 3 warships, and it marks a significant and a major leap in realizing India's vision of becoming a global leader in the defense, manufacturing, and maritime security. And these 3 ships, INS Surat, which is a guided missile destroyer, and INS Nilgiri, which is the first ship of its kind in P-17A stealth frigate projects, and designed by the Indian Navy itself in its Warship Design Bureau, and incorporates the, I must say, one of the most advanced survivability and seakeeping and stealth capabilities. It also reflects the India's next generation sort of frigates. And along with these 2 warships, the induction of the submarine, again, which is the 6th and final submarine of P-17-5 Scorpion project, India's, it's telling the world that India is growing in its expertise of submarine construction, and has the built-in collaboration with which we have, of course, made the submarines with the collaboration with the France. Having said this, I must say that this is the messaging to the world, especially around us in this region, in particular Pakistan and China, that India is now is a power to reckon with in the Indian Ocean region and in the other oceans like the South China Sea. And not only that, I would also say that this is something which has been done or taken place first time in the maritime history of the world, that 3 ships are inducted in the Navy at one time. It also sort of signifies that India is now not only a regional power, but growing a global power.
Commodore Singh, it's also a story about India's self-reliance as far as the defense sector goes, isn't it? From being a big buyer to now being a big builder. That's a story that needs to be highlighted, and these 3 combatants are testament to that as well.
Yes, I think you have hit the nail on head. This rapid, induction of indigenously warships is something which has made India an exporter, in the defense sector. It has India has established itself as a major player in the global defense export market. And not only that the Indonesia is going to buy these BrahMos, missile systems, which are jointly developed by India and Russia. This BrahMos has become very popular because the world's it's one of the world's fastest supersonic cruise missiles, known for its precision, versatility, and ability to be deployed from land, sea, and air platforms. You see, it is a submarine which is so versatile that you can launch it from the land, from a ship, and from the aircraft as well. So I must say that the popularity has especially grown among the Southeast Asian nations, and its cost is very affordable to these nations in the Southeast Asian countries. So this is something which I must say is a very advanced defense system in the region amid evolving geopolitical challenges.
So India is not just a prominent player, but also a provider, at least as far as some of the countries, some of our allies are concerned. Commodore Singh, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 and putting that in perspective. But we've been getting reactions from on ground from Mumbai, where my colleague Yasha got us that sneak peek from on board one of these combatants that has been commissioned today. She also spoke to some of the commanding officers of the Indian Navy. Listen in to what they had to say.
Now, the fact that this is the first in its class, our viewers would want to know the specification. How is this different from the other frigate class ships that we've seen before?
First of all, let me welcome you on board INS Nilgiri, on the day when it's got commissioned. It's a historic day for the country, for the India's military, for the Navy, and of course for me and my crew, when 3 ships and submarine have got commissioned together on the same day. Nilgiri is a different design. It's a defining and coming of age of the shipbuilding prowess of our country. This ship has been designed by the Warship Design Bureau of the Indian Navy. There are many first of the class designs which have got incorporated. If I just start by telling you the deck where we are standing, it's called the forecastle deck, but you may compare it with other ships. This is a very clean and neat deck with a lot of equipment which has been taken down to one deck below, which is called the mooring deck, and it's an enclosed deck, and therefore the radar signature of the ship has got drastically reduced. We have also introduced the very first time a deck rail system on a ship, which are these rails over here. When people, my sailors and officers, which they come on the upper decks, they can simply latch on their harness to this deck rail system and they can walk comfortably and work freely without any fear of going overboard. So these are certain things which we have changed on this ship. The other design features, enhanced features, are the super rapid gun mount, the upgraded version which is capable of firing smart ammunition, which is GPS guided and laser guided. It has given the Indian Navy the advanced range, lethality and accuracy. So a lot of these features have got incorporated. One of that is infrared suppression system. Ship generates a lot of heat because of the engines and the exhaust which is coming out. So the technology which is being used on the Nilgiri, we pump high pressure water into the exhaust gases and the temperature is drastically brought down, and therefore the heat signature of the ship is also getting reduced.
About more about this class, particularly sir also mentioned about kind of missile that are there on board the ship. So if you could elaborate more on that.
I'd like to just elaborate upon that. So he was mentioning about the realm that a destroyer can look at all the 3 aspects: a surface, a subsurface, as well as the air. So we have our SSMs, that is a surface to surface missile, and then we have the surface to air missile also. And then when talking about the underwater component, we have weapons and sensors which can take in terms of or deal in terms of the underwater threat. We are talking about submarines, we are talking about any kind of other underwater threat. We have torpedoes for that, and then we have the rockets for that which can deal with that. Coming to the point of the sensors, we can also try to get from the electromagnetic spectrum whatever are the threats that we perceive, or whatever is the kind of intelligence that we can try to obtain about it. And as well as any kind of any air threat, possibly you can talk about, to put it very basically, talking an incoming missile, an incoming aircraft for that matter, or in case we need to engage a target on the land or another surface combatant at sea. So a destroyer as such, being P-15 Bravo, our ranges are enhanced as compared to the earlier ones, and with the advent of all the indigenous systems. So I think it's the most potent platform of the Indian Navy. That's what all I can say about it.
We've gotten to know that among all the 3 ships that have been commissioned, it's only this ship which has 2 women officers. Could you explain about your role and your counterpart's role on this very ship?
Very good afternoon. I am Lieutenant Astha Kampoj. I am the Deputy Logistics Officer of this ship. When we talk about the Deputy Logistic Officer's role, basically on a ship there is an inventory which has to be managed, forecasted, and we have to project our issues, and after that we get into the planning and the execution part. So that's where my role lies in the ship. And at the same time we also have the responsibility of the galley, which feeds almost 350 meals thrice a day to our ship's company, and the clothing of the personnel who are serving on board. So that is primarily my role on this ship.
If you could explain a little bit more about galley, what is the role, how does it really operate? Because of course we see at various, on board various ships, there are these huge canteens which are there, are huge kitchens which run. How difficult or easy it is to, run this while the ship is sailing?
Oh, it can be quite a challenging task while the sailing is going on, because there's a lot of rolling and pitching, which is the movement of the ship which is involved. But at the same time, the technology on INS Surat is so amazing that we have all the latest technology which has been fitted. It can be quite a challenging task, especially managing the galley while the ship is on sailing, because of the movement, that is the rolling and the pitching of the ship. However, with the technology advancements that we have on board this ship, it has become quite simple. We've got a lot of automated devices as well, which helps us in decreasing the manpower, at the same time automating the whole process and making it much more faster. So that has really helped us, and it's really useful for the personnel, and everyone's very happy about it.
This is the last one in the Kalvari class. If for the betterment of our viewers, you could explain, what are the role that, Kalvari class entitled, and what are the expectations that be there with Vakshir now?
So I'll answer the first part first. We are the sixth and the last but not the least of the Kalvari class submarine. The name Vakshir itself emerges from the erstwhile Vakshir, which was Foxtrot class submarine, which was commissioned on 26 December 1974. So it's incidentally 50 years when the new Vakshir has taken the new avatar and joined the Indian Navy. Definitely the erstwhile Vakshir has set a legacy in which he has done various operations towards ensuring the maritime interest of Indian Navy, and we now are combat ready and 100% ready to be at sea and fulfill every single mission which is given to us by Indian Navy.
So when it comes to submarines, they want to be stealth, so that they can attack enemies in a way that ships cannot really. So with this, what are particular specifications, or overall, when you speak of the missiles that are there inside, if you could give us a brief about it.
So I'll tell you that generally this is a diesel electric submarine. That means it comes into a conventional submarine category. It is based on modular construction, and it has amazing stealth features. We can compare it to one of the stealthiest submarines which are operating in the world as on date. It has state-of-the-art weapon and sensor system. We have an integrated combat system and an integrated platform management system. So what it necessarily means is that we are able to operate the system with very lean manpower. We have total officers about 11 and 45 sailors as of now. So about 40 to 50 is the strength of the crew who are able to operate the submarine at peak efficiency. When we are comparing it to the other conventional submarines in the world, it has capability to detect the enemy ships and submarines at farther ranges, engage them at farther ranges, and destroy an entire fleet. That is the capability of this submarine.
Moving on now to some breaking news that's coming in. Social media giant Meta had to apologize to India after claims that were made by its founder, Mark Zuckerberg, during a podcast where he said that several incumbents lost elections in the past year. He also said that it was India where that kind of scenario was witnessed. Over that, the Parliamentary Committee had decided to summon Meta officials, but now we're given to understand that Meta India has come out and apologized for Mark Zuckerberg's comments, going on to say that it was an inadvertent error. Payal now joining us, getting us more details. Payal, the statement has come to the fore from the public policy advisor of Meta. He put that out on social media, also tagging the Union Minister to make sure that that apology reaches the power corridors here in India.
Well, absolutely. India has once again asserted its power, essentially, Poonam, because given the fact that this statement of Mr. Zuckerberg came on the 10th, it was on the 13th that Ashwini Vaishnaw, in fact, put out that elaborate tweet calling out Meta and its, of course, duplicity and misrepresentation of facts, given the fact that, you know, in that conversation, Mr. Zuckerberg had hinted that because of poor COVID management, many countries lost the election and India was one of them, which was not true. And on the 14th, which is of course yesterday, Nishikant Dubey, who heads the IT committee, had come out and said that they will be summoning Meta and seeking answers for them for actually misrepresenting part and trying to show India in poor light as well. So today the public policy advisor of Meta has in fact issued an apology, had said that it is an inadvertent error on behalf of Mr. Zuckerberg, and India continues to be a great and a very, very important partner for Meta as well. So obviously they've cleared the deck as far as that is really concerned, but yes, like we said that, you know, it was inadvertent error that they've stated, but Indian government in no uncertain terms wanted their apology and public apology, given the fact that they tried to in fact create an impression in the world that India was a weak nation under Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
So India there asserting its power, and apology coming to the fore from the social media giant. For the moment, Payal, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Slipping into a quick break here on this edition of Nation at 5, but news and updates continue here on CNN News 18. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Nation at 5. We have some breaking news that's now coming in from Chhattisgarh, where the Enforcement Directorate has made an arrest of a former excise minister. This is from the Bhupesh Baghel administration. He has been arrested in the liquor scam case. Kawasi Lakma has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate and is going to be produced in Raipur court, is what we are given to understand. We'll try and get you more details of what this excise policy scam is, but this refers to an alleged scam during the Bhupesh Baghel administration. Arrests have been made of the former excise minister. As you can see on your screens, massive drama there erupting during that arrest. He is also going to be produced in court in just a short while from now. Arunima joining us, getting us more details now. Arunima, what more can you tell us about this case and this arrest?
So Kawasi Lakhma was the excise minister in Bhupesh Baghel's government. He is the MLA from Bastar, and he is also one of the few Congress leaders. In fact, he was the only Congress leader who survived when the Darbar Ghati massacre happened, where the entire Congress state leadership was wiped clean. Kawasi Lakhma was also part of the same convoy, but his car was saved. So he has been arrested now by Enforcement Directorate because they believe that he was party to a huge excise scam. So 2,000, about 2,000 crore worth of excise scam is what the ED has accused Kawasi Lakhma of. And he was called in for questioning. Subsequently, the ED's investigating officer felt the need for custodial interrogation and arrested him. He is being produced in court and ED is likely to seek custody.
Arunima, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Shifting focus now to the big political story of the day, and this is the fight that was triggered by Rahul Gandhi while he was addressing Congress workers at the inauguration of the new Congress party headquarters. He was talking about the recent comments that were made by RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, where he said that the consecration of the Ram Mandir was freedom in its true sense for India. Rahul Gandhi went on to say that these comments from Mohan Bhagwat are nothing short of treason, and in any other country, anybody who would make such a comment would be arrested and tried. He also then said that the Congress is fighting the BJP and the RSS in the country, but he didn't stop at that. He went on to say that the fight is against the Indian state itself, and that has triggered a massive political controversy, only giving the BJP more ammunition against the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi.
What he has said yesterday is treason, because it is stating that the constitution is invalid. It is stating that everything, the fight against the British was invalid, and he has the audacity to say this publicly. In any other country, he would be arrested and tried. We are fighting a political organization called the BJP. That we are fighting a political organization called the RSS. We are now fighting the BJP, the RSS, and the Indian state itself.
If the leader of the opposition, who belongs to a political party which claims to have contributed to India's freedom struggle and which has produced several prime ministers, if that party has deteriorated to a point that they are now fighting the Indian state, I can understand you can have a problem with the BJP, but then fighting the RSS is a cultural organization. And that cultural organization prides itself in placing the nation first. Well, I don't know what this is. Either it's a temporary loss of, derailment of the mental coordinates, or it's the Soros toolkit. So I think the young, several times relaunched leader, young at the age of 54, I think needs to do some serious introspection.
Actually, basic swathantra ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿದವರು ಯಾರು? ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ನವರು ಯಾವತ್ತು ಓದದ್ದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಭಾರತ ದೇಶನ 1947. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮೋಹನ್ ಭಾಗವತ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು? ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಿಕ್ತಿತ್ತು ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ನವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಶಾಮೀಲಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಥರದ ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಡಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಮೋಹನ್ ಭಾಗವತ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸರಿಯಾದ ರೀತಿ, ಸರಿಯಾದ ಭಾಷೆ ಮಾತಲ್ಲ.
मोहन भागवत जी सरासर जो है, जिन्होंने देश के आज़ादी को लेकर के शहादत दी, कुर्बानी दी, उनका ये इंसल्ट कर रहे हैं, उनका ये अपमान कर रहे हैं. ये गांधी जी का अपमान कर रहे हैं, ये शहीद भगत सिंह का अपमान कर रहे हैं. ये लोग केवल जो मेन एजेंडा है उसको ये लोग डाइवर्ट करना चाहते हैं. तो इन लोगों का अपमान देश की जनता बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगी. और मोहन भागवत जी को जो है बताना चाहिए कि पिछड़े दलितों को आज़ादी कब मिलेगी.
Pallavi now joining us, getting us more perspective on this. Pallavi, the BJP, of course, got an issue right on the platter with those two words, the Indian state, when Rahul Gandhi uttered those two words. But the Congress is not backing down either. They too are on the offensive, defending him.
Well, because the Congress also thinks that it has an issue against the BJP and against the RSS, and Rahul Gandhi's reservations about the RSS, according to Congress, has been proved right. Otherwise, they are saying that why is it that Mohan Bhagwat would say that the real freedom was won only on 23rd of January last year when a Pran Pratishtha was held for the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, because this is a sedition and therefore an action must be taken against Mohan Bhagwat, because you are now questioning the freedom movement of India as well as the independence that we got in 1947. And second, Mr. Bhagwat's comments according to Congress and Rahul Gandhi also undermines the work which has been done by the freedom fighters, and therefore this just goes on to once again expose the negative and divisive mindset of the RSS plus the BJP, who look at everyone from the view or the prism of religion, and they can only think of the Hindu versus Muslim polarization politics and dividing people along religious and caste lines.
Pallavi, do stay on with us. I want to just refresh the memory of our viewers. Listening to what Mohan Bhagwat had said, the original comment which triggered this response from Rahul Gandhi and the furor that followed.
चंपत राय जी कहते हैं वो आंदोलन नहीं यज्ञ है, ये बात बिल्कुल सही है। ये शुरू इसलिए नहीं हुआ था किसी का विरोध करना है। भारत का स्व मर जाए, भारत का स्व अपनी गर्दन ऊंची न कर सके, इसलिए तो मंदिरों के विध्वंस हो गए। वो देवी देवता उनकी पूजा, ये स्व नहीं था वो, लेकिन उनके रूप में जो आदर्श सामने आते हैं, जीवन के जो मूल्य सामने आते हैं, वो भारतीय है। भारत उसके लिए जाना जाता है।
Pallavi continues to be with us. Now, Pallavi, as far as the RJD is concerned, they've come out and publicly backed Rahul Gandhi, going on to slam Mohan Bhagwat as well. But what about the other allies? Also, because this comes at a time when many would say that the Congress's stock is sort of falling within the bloc.
Yes, but I think at the end of the day, each constituent of the India bloc is going to react to issues as it suits them politically. And especially on this issue, many of the allies have been on the same page. The Samajwadi Party, the RJD have often accused the BJP of misusing religion, and how the Pran Pratishtha was actually made into a government and a political event, and in which others were not given importance at all. And the people who actually contributed to building of the Ram Mandir, they were not invited. Political leaders were also not asked to come. So I think the reason why we are seeing a Tejasvi Yadav also being critical of Mohan Bhagwat is on the counts that he is also addressing his own constituency.
Right, Pallavi, thank you so much for putting that in perspective for us. Now, the Congress may be on the offensive, but the political fireworks are only escalating on the sidelines of what Rahul Gandhi said at the event of the Congress party this morning. Listen in to some of those reactions.
The RSS and the Sangam has been making a point that they are against the idea of India. They didn't have a legacy of the freedom movement. They never participated in the freedom movement. So many martyrs were there in the freedom movement, and thousands of people tried together on shoulder to shoulder, irrespective of their community, to fight against the British. And the Sangam was not in that movement. The Congress is following that ideology. Unfortunately, the Sangam is following an ideology which is making split among the people.
किसी देखो मैं मानता हूँ किसी की अज्ञानता की कोई उत्तर नहीं हो सकता है। किसी देखो मैं मानता हूँ किसी की अज्ञानता की कोई उत्तर नहीं हो सकता है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राहुल गांधी ने जो बोला कि बीजेपी आरएसएस से ही लड़ाई नहीं, इंडियन स्टेट से भी हमारी लड़ाई है, उसको वो कह रहे हैं कि राहुल गांधी देश के खिलाफ कैसे लड़ सकते हैं।
देश के खिलाफ लड़ने की बात नहीं कही उन्होंने। स्टेट जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रोविजन है, स्टेट के कुछ फंक्शन है, स्टेट जब उस फंक्शन को डिलीवर नहीं करती है और उसके नियमों के विरुद्ध काम करती है तो नेचुरली एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं आप। देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स जो वेल डिफाइन है, इलेक्शन कमीशन का क्या फंक्शन है, सीएजी का क्या फंक्शन है, जुडिशरी का क्या फंक्शन है, ये सब चीज़ें वेल डिफाइन है। जब उनका एनक्रोचमेंट होता है तो ये एंटिसिपेट किया जाता है कि भाई आप स्टेट की जो पावर है उसको आप इम्पार्शियल रूप में काम करने का मौका नहीं दे रहे हो. दैट इज व्हाट द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस.
Every word is what the people of the country are saying today. It is resonating with the feeling of the nation. Nation that is aggrieved, that is hurt, that feels let down by an irresponsible leader of opposition in Rahul Gandhi. And I can very responsibly say, India, Bharat deserves a more responsible, a more faithful leader of opposition. And truly, it is our misfortune that we have a part-time and irresponsible, immature leader of opposition in Rahul Gandhi.
राहुल गांधी ने कहा कि आरएसएस बीजेपी ने संस्थाओं पे कब्जा कर लिया है, तो सिर्फ हम आरएसएस बीजेपी से नहीं लड़ रहे, हम लड़ रहे हैं देश से. इंडियन स्टेट्स का शब्द का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, जिस पर बीजेपी करी वो देश विरोधी बातें करते हैं.
कौन सा देश विरोधी के काम तो आरएसएस और बीजेपी ने रोज कर रहा है. जो मोहन भागवत जी ने कहा है, संविधान के खिलाफ बोला है, वो बोला है जब राम मंदिर बना उसको तब आज़ादी मिली है. क्या ये देश विरोधी नहीं है? वो संविधान हमारा नहीं है करके ये लोग बोलते आ रहा है. ये भी बोला है, मोहन भागवत जी ने बोला है, गोलवरकर भी बोला है. इसके खिलाफ जो सेडिशन केस बुक करना है मोहन भागवत के खिलाफ.
राहुल जी कहना क्या चाहते थे सर, आप लोगों को क्या कहना है, क्योंकि बीजेपी करी वो इंडियन स्टेट से लड़ रहे हैं.
हाँ, पूरा जब आरएसएस के लोग जो नागपुर में ट्रेनिंग लिया है, सारे संस्थाओं के बीच में घुस गया है. अब कोई जगह नहीं छोड़ा है, कोर्ट नहीं छोड़ा है, वो इलेक्शन कमीशन नहीं छोड़ा है, सीबीआई भी सब जगह में घुस गया ना. इस घुसपैठ के खिलाफ लड़ना है.
Rahul Gandhi, when he says, because the BJP is saying that he is making an anti-India comment when he talks about the Indian state.
But the fact is that the country got independence on 15th of August 1947. With the sacrifice of lakhs of people of this country, every religion, every community was involved in freeing this country. And the Congress Party and Mahatma Gandhi were in the forefront of this freedom struggle. How can you negate that? How can you forget the fact that we got independence in August 1947? Now to add different dates to it and to neglect the fact that our sacrifice and the countrymen's sacrifice has gone to waste, I think that's unbecoming. So I think he made that very clear that the country stands united and we will not fall prey to all the propaganda that the opposition, the government and its allies are doing.
इसी प्रकार की भाषा अमृतपाल सिंह खालिस्तानी भी बोलता था कि उनकी लड़ाई इंडियन स्टेट के साथ है, और इसी प्रकार की भाषा विदेशी ताकतें भी बोलती हैं. सोरस भी इसी प्रकार की भाषा का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. अब ये क्या घालमेल है, इनका क्या तार मिले हुए हैं, ये तो राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस पार्टी को बताना पड़ेगा कि सबके सब एक भाषा कैसे बोलते हैं. परंतु आज आप इंडियन स्टेट के साथ लड़ाई की बात कर रहे हैं, आपको जवाब देना पड़ेगा, और खड़गे साहब को भी इस बात का जवाब देना पड़ेगा कि क्या कांग्रेस पार्टी के और कांग्रेस के नेताओं की लड़ाई इंडियन स्टेट के साथ है.
Your first reaction, because the BJP is accusing Rahul Gandhi of fighting against the Indian state, which is an anti-national, George Soros funded kind of a comment.
I think whoever said that should listen to the whole speech, the context in which whatever he said, etc. The remarks of the RSS chief when he talked about the fact that India got its independence when Ram Mandir was inaugurated. So he's not prepared to recognize 15th August as the Independence Day of India. He's not prepared to accept Constitution, Republic of India, which the Constitution launched. So they are completely anti-Constitution. What he has said amounts to sedition. And I think government should take action on those comments of his. And Rahul Gandhi's entire speech should be heard in its totality. Then they'll understand what he meant.
And also very quickly, Rahul Gandhi also said in any other country, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's comments would have meant that he would have been arrested.
Well, I think that's what I said. What he meant was he denied the Indian independence, he denied the Indian Republic. And he is going back to inauguration of Ram Mandir, which has no constitutional validity. It's a religious function which any religion is free to celebrate its god, goddesses and temples. It's nothing to do with the Indian state. So I think what he said amounted to sedition really. And what Rahul Gandhi said was any other country, that should have been taken very seriously.
The Rahul versus Mohan Bhagwat fight translated into a Rahul versus the Indian state fight as far as the BJP is concerned, and the political fireworks only continued from there on. We'll keep a track of that and much more after this very quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Whenever I had
먼저 나왔었습니다. 우리가 믿을 수 있는 그런 권력을 우리가 스스로
대한민국 상황을 많이 알려주십시오.
알거든요. 저기 한번 누구 하나 미끄러지면 줄줄이 미끄러지기인데
더욱 더딘 상황입니다. 소방당국은 관저 앞에 환자가 정확히 누구인지는 전해지지 않고 있습니다만 부상자 한 명을 소방당을 22일까지
어제 전해졌는데.
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5. We have some breaking news that's now coming in, and this is going to be a big boost as far as rail connectivity across the country is concerned. Sources within the Indian Railways have now confirmed that the approval has come to the fore for the operation on the Anji Ghat Bridge on the Katra-Riasi section. This would mean that from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, there would be connectivity in the near future. Akash, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Akash, what more can you tell us? What have you gathered from your sources within the Indian Railways?
Right, so Poonam, this is Katra-Riyasi section. That was the 17-kilometer long section on the USBRL project. Remember, USBRL is Udhampur, Srinagar, Baramulla rail link section. And, this was one link that was in fact, that will in fact give, connectivity from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And this time, in fact, this was a rail connectivity between Jammu and Kashmir. We are learning that CRS inspection happened just few days back, and now, approval has been given, which means that the remaining 17-kilometer long section will be operational very soon. This section includes, the highest rail bridge of the world, that is Chenab Bridge. Of course, then we have Anji Khat Bridge, that is the only cable-stayed rail bridge of India. And then Tunnel 33, which was one of the most complicated tunnels for the Indian Railways. As of now, this 17-kilometer long section has been approved. The maximum speed with which, trains can go on this particular section is 85 km per hour. And we are learning that very soon Prime Minister Narendra Modi can inaugurate the whole section, that is USBRL project, USBRL section, and with which, we can, ensure, and in fact, we can say that Kashmir to Kanyakumari will be connected via rail.
And that would definitely be a big boost as far as connectivity of the Indian Railways across the country is concerned. For the moment, Akash, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Slipping into a quick break here on this edition, but back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us. A big controversy erupted ahead of Delhi elections. Remember, the state, the union territory and the national capital is expected to go to elections next month. 5th of February is when that happens. But ahead of that, and in the midst of heavy election campaigning, and on the day Arvind Kejriwal filed his nomination for that election, a nod came from the Union Home Ministry to prosecute Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia in the alleged liquor scam that both the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI are investigating. This comes after the Supreme Court had said that to prosecute any public servant, the MHA and the central government would have to give its sanction. Following this, it does clear the path for framing of charges officially by the Enforcement Directorate against both Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. This nod, of course, has triggered a fresh round of political fireworks between the incumbent Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi and its political rivals, the Congress and the BJP.
सर, आज ही आपका नामांकन है, आज ही गृह मंत्रालय ने ईडी के आपके मनीष जी खिलाफ जांच के लिए उसको सैंक्शन दे दिया है।
वो उस तरह से चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, हम इस तरह से चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं।
आज आपके खिलाफ एक ये भी आया कि एमएचए ने मुकदमा करने की इजाजत दे दी है उस जो आबकारी नीति का मामला चल रहा है आपके और अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के खिलाफ, तो क्या फिर से चुनावों में
इनके सारे कुकर्म इनके ऊपर भारी पड़ते हैं। इन्होंने मुझे जेल में रखा है, इनके ऊपर भारी पड़ेगा। इन्होंने केजरीवाल जी को गाली गलौज किया, केजरीवाल जी के ऊपर गालियां उछाली, वो इनको भारी पड़ेगा। जनता इसका जवाब देगी।
कि हम सभी जानते हैं कि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने कितना बड़ा पाप किया था। जब देश में सारी दुनिया में कोविड चल रहा था, लोग मर रहे थे, उस समय वो शराब पॉलिसी बना रहे थे। इनके जो समय मंत्री, विधायक, एमपी जो भी थे, राघव चड्ढा, वो कहते थे कि कोविड आया तो आया, हम क्या करें, हमें तो शराब पॉलिसी बनानी थी। जब लोग दवाई मांग रहे थे, घर मांग रहे थे, तब वो अपना शीश महल बना रहे थे। तो बड़ा दुख की बात है, शर्म की बात है कि एक आदमी जिसको दिल्ली के लोगों ने 3 बार जिताया, वो अपना शीश महल बनाने में लग गया, मगर उसने दिल्ली के लोगों को दवाई नहीं दी और हजारों लोग मर गए दिल्ली में।
जो सीएजी की रिपोर्ट आई शराब घोटाले में, उसने सिद्ध कर दिया कि 2000 करोड़ का घोटाला है। अब आप समझ लीजिए, इतना बड़ा 3-4 हजार करोड़ का समझ लीजिए, अगर इनको डील में मिला होगा तो पीएमएलए तो बनता ही है, कैश कहीं तो गया होगा। ये तो सीधे सीधे अब सिद्ध हो जाता है। और उसके साथ साथ हाईकोर्ट ने भी कहा कि आपने जो सीएजी की रिपोर्ट छुपाई है, और कहा आम आदमी पार्टी और केजरीवाल से कि इसमें आपकी बेईमानी दिखती है।
On that note, slipping into a quick break here on this edition, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
먼저 나왔었습니다. 우리가 믿을 수 있는 그런 권력을 우리가 스스로
대한민국 상황을 많이 알려주십시오.
알거든요. 저기 한 번 누구 하나 미끄러지면 줄줄이 미끄러지기인데
더욱 더딘 상황입니다. 소방당국은 관저 앞에 자가 정확히 누구인지는 전해지지 않고 있습니다만 부상자 1명을 소방단을 22일까지
어제 전해졌는데 집행을 지금 본격적인 진입 이전. 얼마나 엄중하게
내란 속에 벌마 버려 윤석열이나 벌마 내란 속에 벌마 윤석열이나 벌마 저기야
Welcome back. We have some breaking news that's now coming in. An intergovernmental agency between India and the United States has now submitted its report. We're given to understand the Indian government panel has submitted this report on terror groups which undermined security interests of India and the United States. Both the probe was ordered after the United States of America alleged that there was an attempt to kill Khalistani separatist Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon on American soil by Indian agents. Over that, an intergovernmental panel was formed and that report has now been submitted to the Indian government. Arunima, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details on this. Yes, Arunima.
So in November 2023, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson had confirmed that this committee had been set up and both India and United States of America were collaborating and also coordinating their investigation. Now today, Ministry of Home Affairs put out a statement confirming that the report of the high-powered committee has been submitted to the government. The statement went on to say that this committee has recommended action against one individual, and it also said that the committee has further recommended functional improvements in systems and procedures as also initiation of steps that could strengthen India's response capability, ensure systematic controls and coordinated action in dealing with matters like this. So with this, India has concluded its side of the inquiry. It has accepted that some of the concerns of United States of America were genuine, and now through diplomatic channels, the inquiry committee's recommendations as well as details collected by it could be shared with the American counterpart.
Right, when that does happen, do keep a track of that. But for the moment, Arunima, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. It's a wrap from my side here on this edition of Nation at 5. Christine Walia joins you next with Plain Speak.
Green Lamb Laminates presents CNN News 18 Prime Time.